to start with Goody. How much pride, pleasure, what do you get out of that as his coach?
Yeah, it's very proud of him. He's worked extremely hard to get to where he is today. When I was part of the club with that when he was a youth player training here, and to see that journey from there to where he is now, it's been a great journey, and he's worked extremely hard for it. And you always say if you work hard, you get rewarded, and I'm glad he's been rewarded with the World Cup, and everyone at the club and everyone in the state should be proud of him.
You can see it with some players from a very early age; they're destined for greatness. You said you worked with him when he was a lot younger. Could you always tell he had this sort of thing in him, or is it just a product of hard work since he's been in the system properly?
Yeah, I think he's had to work hard for it. It hasn't come natural for Craig, and I think he's worked extremely hard and got to where he is because of that, which is, I think a good sign, especially to a lot of the younger players that we've got at the club, that if you do the work, you will get rewards.
You're thinking that in the future there could be any more boys out there that train with you now that might be in a similar boat?
Yeah, most definitely. They've already got in this professional setup, and how far they go, I always say it's up to you. We'll provide the platform for you, and how hard you want to push and how hard you want to get to your best level, then that becomes up to the player.
Is it something that as a coach you take pride in? I mean, the wins are one thing, but then helping a player reach this type of potential?
Yeah, most definitely. We always, the club that we are and the way we're set up, we want to develop our younger players and give them the opportunities to go on and have success at a higher level. And Craig is, no different from that, even though he's, one of the more senior players. It's good that they get rewarded and go to test themselves at that highest level, and there's no higher level in this game than the World Cup.
How do you think, I mean, you didn't pick the team, I don't know how closely you looked at the team, how do you think he fits in as the sort of player that you think could start for Australia and make an impact at the World Cup?
Yeah, most definitely. His form in the last 3 games has been excellent. And the World Cup games are going to be tight games, and you're going to need players with that little bit of extra quality, and his little bit extra quality that he has, especially from set pieces and in open play, it can be very advantage.
I wanted to ask one more on individuals. He's not in the squad, but his name was mentioned a little bit as sort of the 3rd or 4th keeper around the place, Joe Gauci. How far away do you think he is from being one of Australia's best keepers?
Yeah, look, Joe, again, he's a young goalkeeper that's getting games, and it's very difficult for young goalkeepers to be given those opportunities, because a lot of that position is taken more by older players, because it's a difficult position, and Joe needs to keep playing, and if he does exceptionally well here in the A-League and playing games, then his next move then needs to be a move where he can play overseas and not go and be a bench player in his position. And if he can do that, then I can see him playing for the Socceroos one day.
That's got to be tough for you to sort of know your place in the pecking order as the Adelaide United. We've got a great young player here. For him to succeed, we just have to let him go at some point.
Yeah, that's football. All over the world, players will always be moving, up and down, and it's a matter of them, making decisions that's best for their careers.
What about the game tomorrow? The rivalry itself. Craig said, I said, any danger of you missing it and resting? He goes, absolutely not. I had this one circled the whole time. Why is it such a big deal to the players, and I imagine to you?
I suppose being part of those first couple of seasons, and that's when it first sort of really took off. And I suppose it's back then we were a very South Australian side. Nearly all the players were from South Australia, and back then we had a huge rivalry with Victoria, and it sort of just grew from there. Cozzy really pushed it back then, and it sort of just grew from that. And I think both sets of supporters, the atmosphere at these games can't be beaten for the rest of the games that we have all season. So it's a great atmosphere, it's a great spectacle, and just as a neutral to come and watch as well, it's the atmosphere, especially here now at the new Cooper Stadium, it's going to be even better.
Now that you're in charge, do you fan the flame at all? What can you do to put it on the, as you said, it used to be a very South Australian team, a few less now, but I imagine you want to instill the rivalry in them. Do you fan the flame?
Of course, it's a big game and you want to challenge the players to step up for these games. And as you say, it's a big rivalry and we make sure we fire the players up to go out and be aggressive and get the points that we need to move on in the season.
What does that involve? Just showing sort of Kevin Muscat clips from back in the day? Or?
Yeah, look, you want to play the game fair, but you have to also be aggressive. And make sure, and especially here at home, we have to make sure we get our fans on our side and get them to really drive us, because that lifts you, gives you that little bit of extra adrenaline. And so, it's important that we start the game well and get the fans on our side.
You've been around the league for a while. Where do you think this rivalry ranks?
Yeah, look, as I say, I think it's one of the best ones. The atmospheres at the games. I know the Sydney Derby is quite a big game as well. So I'd say those two derbies would have to be the best in the league.
Squad-wise, much going on?
No, we're very fortunate that we've still only got the long-term injuries. And they're tracking along really well. Johnny Yarl's only maybe 1 or 2 weeks away from rejoining full training. And Zach Clough and Bernardo should be back, in 4 to 5 weeks as well. So after the World Cup break, hopefully we'll have everyone back on deck.
Josh Cavallo?
Yeah, Josh has been given the clearance this week to start contact training. So, as soon as we get back from the break, he'll be available for selection for the games.
So the break, assuming nothing happens to anyone over the break, you come back and you'll be pretty close to fully fit by the sounds of it.
Yeah, hopefully. You never know with injuries, touch wood, that hopefully, we'll have a good 5-6 days off, the players to refresh. And then we'll come back and have 2 or 3 weeks of prep work to get ready again for the second part of the season.
I was going to say, what do you do in those 2 or 3 weeks? Is it a normal week of training, or have you got building up to a game as you normally would on the weekend?
Yeah, look, we'll try. We'll have the first week will be, as I said, the boys will have 5 or 6 days off to rest and recover, and some of them will go away on a little bit of a holiday. Then we'll come back and have a little pre-season, I suppose, and try and get a game against another A-League club in that break. So then when we hit the ground running when we play Brisbane away.